Relationships can certainly feel transactional, especially the older. I don't know, the older I get, it just seems like people just want something from you. And when they're not getting it from you, they just bail. They stop talking to you, they stop calling you. And I'm also guilty of doing the same thing. And I think that is in this environment that we find ourselves, especially in the West in the past 10 years, it's been this grind where you're spending a lot of your time working and trying to provide for yourself, for your family. It leaves very little time for building bond around relationship. And so you start to find that your only time that you have to build a bond is whether you are in your workplace because you or if you are running a business together because your incentives are aligned. Maybe that's how it's always supposed to be. And then your family is also like by default your friends or your because you live with them. uh, you know, maybe that's how it's always supposed to be, but actually it's not because in the coming from Nigeria when I was growing up, it's like it takes a village. That has since changed even over there, but there's still a lot more community there than there is here. Even here in the West, certain pockets, the more rural, the more country you go, there's more community than in these big cities. And I've spent a lot of time in big cities working as a travel nurse. I've traveled around the country, and I find that when you're in a when you're in a system that tries to squeeze out as much time from you, there's very little discretionary time left to invest in relationships. That's the situation here in the West. The people who have found a way to that have been able to escape it are the ones who have freedom of time and space because they have enough money to fund their lifestyle, or people who prioritize relationships than pursuing resources or acquiring resources. I'm not one of them. I'm one of the ones who, since I started my nursing career, it's just been like walk, walk, walk over time, doing things. That's how I've always been. And that comes at a cost. This video that we're going to watch now is a late nomad. He talks about it.
These old college libraries really give me a spark of nostalgia. It's like the smell of the old books or something. These little study rooms. I remember I used to get head in these rooms by my old college girlfriend. Good times, man.
Yeah, not bad.
People are only like befriending you in a transactional sense because they want something from you. And as kids, we were way more. I won't speak for myself, but people were more pure-hearted in their motivations or why they want to befriend you. And I guess the world is a harsh place. So once we become adults, it gets competitive, and so we're primarily just looking for what we can gain from other people, and that gets tiring and it gets old. So I'll give you an example, right? Like if you go to your friend's barbecue and you meet some guy named Bob, and he when he meets you, he's gonna ask you what you do. Hey, I'm Bob. Like, what do you do? What do you do for work? And when you say what you do, they're basically trying to gauge your status level. And so if you say like, oh, I work at a hedge fund, I'm a quant, then like they're calibrating actively while they're talking to you. Their pricing of your status is like a 0 to 10, like it's like a stock ticker that's like moving actively, and it's actively calibrating. So let's say the first thing they're doing is they're measuring you based on your looks. So let's say I'm a 5 out of 10. They start you at a 5. And even that kind of calibrates, right? Like people say, oh, you have a nice smile. So it goes beep, 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 and it goes up to like 6, 5.5. And then like, you know, when I say, oh yeah, I work for a hedge fund, and they're like, oh, as what? And if I'm like, oh, I'm a janitor there, it goes beep, 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 and it goes down to like 1.3. But if I'm like, oh, I'm like a quant, like they're like, if they know, they're like, oh, no way. That's like a competitive position. You must make a lot. You must be smart. And then it goes beep, 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 and it goes up to like 7, 7.2, 7.5. And
A lot higher.
You can almost see the wheels like turning in their head as they're like baking in new information while talking to you. And that's like the whole point of the conversation. They're basically trying to like gather data. So like the width of their market on like how they price you is like getting more narrow, you know?
I'm not gonna lie, we all do this because our time is limited, and you don't want to waste your time talking to someone who's not gonna perceive, that's not gonna reciprocate the value that you're giving. And in this society, we measure value numerically. Like money in terms of like relationship, network, net worth. We're measuring it. It's quantified, just like he's saying. And if I'm talking to you and I figure out that my time is not, you're I'm underpricing my time by talking to you, there's a chance that I'm going not going to get myself. I'm going to take myself out of that relationship. But the older I get, and the more information that I'm coming into, I'm starting to realize. I've realized relationships have nothing to do with how much you're going to give the person, how much you're going to get. You should always be approaching relationships like, what can I do for this individual? How much value can I give? Without expectations, because at the end of the day, this universe is, it's like the ecosystem is a yin and yang. There's a give and take, and there's a duality to it, where if you're giving something, not duality, that's not the word. If you're giving, what you put out is what you're going to get. So if you give somebody something, you're going to get it back. It doesn't have to be from that person, it can be from somewhere else. The universe conspires to give you back what you put out. So just do, and keep doing. Do that thing that you want other people to do for you, and somebody random will do it for you. And that's how relationships, I've now understood it to be.
It's like you're a stock, like, and yeah. And they're doing price discovery as they gather more information. The bid ask spread is tightening. And so they'll ask you more questions, right? Or they'll see you bring a girl and they'll be like, "Oh, is that your girl?" And like if she's like frumpy, then they'll be like, beep, 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 like the market will crash a little bit, and they'll be like, "Oh, this guy, like he's smart and he has a good job, but that's the best he could do. Like he must have low confidence and just be like a loser, actually." And so their pricing for you will like start to crash. But then if your girl's like really hot, then all of a sudden it'll beep beep beep, it'll go up. And they're thinking, damn, this guy has a good job, he's smart, and he has a hot girlfriend. He must be really valuable. Because the girl already did some screening for him, right? It's like it's like social proof. It's like basically
You got, that was the same word I was about to use. Social proof. It's a survival mechanism. We do it unconsciously. This is just, we judge people, and that's how we've survived, and become it's evolved over time. It's become more sophisticated, it's become more, but we still do it anyway. And I don't know if it's right or wrong. That's just how we're wired.
she's screening already when deciding who to choose as a dating partner, and she's pretty, so for her to choose me, it indicates that like that pre-screening showed that I have a lot of value. So that's like a shortcut, right? It's like a resume, or like a reference. So basically, like suddenly, like I'm jumping up in status there in his eyes, and then from there, Bob will be like, "Hey man, like this has been a fascinating conversation. Like we should add each other on like Instagram or something, man." Like they'll try to like be buddies with you, and because they think they can get something from you. They think, oh, this guy might have a yacht or something. He must be rich. I can probably benefit from that in some way, or maybe he can get me a job, or give me really good financial advice. Like it's all transactional. It's about what they can get from you, and if you swing and miss on a lot of those little like
Cues.
those questions they ask you, where you just happen to be a lower status person, their pricing of you just like goes down, and then they're just kind of like, "Oh hey buddy, it's been nice talking to you. I gotta go chat with I gotta go help my guy get the beers out of the trunk. Hey, it's been nice catching up with you, buddy. Nice to meet you." And they just try to push you out of their life really quickly because they can't get anything from you. That's the whole game. That's the whole game of
It is the whole
socialization, as I'm
game.
told.
It's just the whole game. That's just how it is. And when you live long enough and you interacted with people in this corporate America in this capitalistic country, you just get to learn that this is the game that's being played, and you play along, and you just want to level up in the game. You don't want to stay in the same place, because staying in the same place is the same as just dying, because that means that you're not putting out, you're not making effort, you're not improving. Because if you're self-improving, then organically you're just going to attract more people. You may not attract more people because influence is different, but you're going to live a better quality of life. And when people approach you and try to have a conversation with you, you are interesting and they find value in you. And that's just a product of the effort that you've put in to make yourself better. So yes, relationships are transactional, and I've been around. I was just recently on a contract in California, and I was around a lot of Africans, and we'd go out to these events, and we had a good time. These events, let me show you some of them, like this one right here. I recorded some of them, but they were fun. You know what I'm saying? These events were fun, but at the end of the day, what I find out is, so these events will happen. We'll all go hang out, we'll drink, we'll eat, for those people who indulge, and we'll have a good time. But what I will find out is that there's no follow through. People are so busy, no one is going to each other's house or going to like going to like having extracurricular activities outside of work. So it's I just started to find that it was empty, and a lot of it obviously was me traveling around, but it also comes with requires effort, because I don't want to sound like a victim, or maybe that it requires effort on my part to nurture the relationship, and some of them I've taken with me, the ones I found valuable I've taken with me, and I have not I keep I engage with them. That's how relationships work. But on the topic of, are relationships transactional? Yes, they are. Because we live in this world, and that's the way the world operates. It's quid pro quo. It's just the way it is. And there's no point crying about it. Just play the game. It's like Nintendo, like a video game. If you're not leveling up, one, no one's gonna recruit you to be on their team. Two, if you're like 1v1, they'll take you out. It's just, you have to level up, and people will naturally gravitate towards you, and you have more friends. But it is absolutely transactional relationships. Uh, it is what it is.